The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
We're back with my in-studio guest, Dr. Sam Mabini, Director of Department of Labor, as well as Greg Massey, is the Administrator for Alien Labor at the Department of Labor. Greg, let me ask you this. You know, now that the whole region, basically, Guam, the Marianas are included in this military buildup, I'm just wondering, you know, as a conspiracy theorist here, right? Because we're all inclusive in this military buildup, whether the sins or the faults of our brothers and sisters in the Northern Marianas, you know, at one point the garment factory, sweatshops, basically, you know. This latest situation that, of course, with I think the Chinese workers coming in a different visa and staying and working, I guess, construction and all that. Whether or not that whole thing is being lumped in and said, you know, you're a family, you must share some things there. So I'm just wondering now, because the military buildup is in this region, not just a Guam thing, it's this whole area, whether or not some of the past sins are coming back to haunt this area.
Well, we hope not, but you know, this whole H2 crisis thing, it's not really a Guam only thing. We've kind of surmised that a lot of this has happened because of some foreign worker issues in the mainland. It just so happens that we're kind of reliant on H2s in our jurisdiction. But this wasn't a strike from the U.S. government on Guam. You know, this happened nationwide. And it just so happens that we're feeling like so many federal actions, we feel it a little bit more strongly because of our reliance on certain federal programs and stuff. But we hope not. You know, Guam has always had a very the CNMI and Guam have always, CNMI had their own control of their own immigration before, you know, and they're still kind of, I think, recovering from that challenge. We've always had a pretty good handle on the program here. You know, there's a lot of myths and misconceptions out there that, you know, H2s are cheap foreign labor and that they're abused and things like that. But a lot of that's just you know, misconception.
Well, let me ask you this, because one of the things, again, I mean, I know first of all, the difference between the H2B and the H1, I mean, obviously the numbers are not the same, so they're probably the different specialties, right?
Apples and oranges.
Apples and oranges. Okay. I know that I think the H1 as well, I know that the Trump administration, they're really clamping down on the technology side, on a lot of foreign workers coming in, trying to work in the technology side as well, because again, they're again supposedly, I guess, cheaper workforce. Is it something like that? Well, you know, that's one of the working theories out there. Again, that's a national thing, and that recent H1 thing is come from a lot of people. Well, there's companies in Silicon Valley that are recruiting tech support under the H1, and H1 was really meant for professionals, your engineers, your skilled professional college degree, you know, those kind of positions. Not necessarily, you know. We're affected with that as well. I mean, you know, our hospital,
you know, true. So, you know, there's a national push to look at that program again. You know, the H1s are not really used so much in Guam. You know, very small batches. But yeah, it will affect because, you know, one of your professionals may be your accountant. And if that program kind of gets slow walked, then you know, losing your accountant is just as effective as losing 10 H2s, you know, that are doing your, you know, carpentry. You know,
well, I'm just wondering how we can get around that, because during the Obama administration, when he had that stimulus money for American workers, you know, to get back to work, infrastructure stuff, right? And we had some of that money come to Guam, but we had to buy everything American, you know, and even the companies had to be U.S. companies and all that. I think there was one project out here that had to fall on the wayside because they found out, I think the steel was not U.S. steel and all that. And so we had the challenge of that. So it's got to be a great challenge to kind of carve us out of there. I mean, carve us out of that. You know, I mean, we know that again, you know, when the Asia market drops, we drop because we're directly affected by Asia economy. When the economy of the United States falls a little bit, it doesn't affect us as much as the Asian side. It affects us, I mean, in the good side, because their interest rates drop, and it's great for us, right? But we are directly associated and related to to the Asia economic situation, not necessarily in the U.S. side. So how do we go about this? Especially we have an administration now that get America great again, American workers, American steel. I think the steel people, I mean, companies are saying, hey, if we're going to have American steel, we have other of our allies that still just as good as our steel, but a lot cheaper. And if we're going to strictly go with American steel, it's going to jack up the prices of building. So if they can't carve them out, how the heck are we going to be carved out, Greg? And
well, you really have to, I guess, you know, the governor's office.
This is a political question.
Yeah, the governor's office has been, you know, working tirelessly, you know, through, you know, the federal government. Right now, you know, you got to remember we're kind of in a transition with the Trump and Obama administrations,
Sure.
and we really need. I would, my own opinion would be, we'd really need, you know, someone strong in the Department of Interior, you know, to advocate for Guam. Our congresswoman, you know, our governor's office is. They've got to really, you know, put it out there and carve, you know, make sure that everyone understands that.
Sure. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're not just, you know, I mean, even in the U.S., mainland, you know, a lot of times their economies are intertwined. We're kind of an isolated island economy.
We're not greatly affected. I mean, a great thing this morning, I just read in the paper and the Post this morning where Senator Lindsey Graham, you know, I quoted this morning, he says he's all in favor of just bombing the heck out of North Korea. He said, oh, it's going to come at a great damage. It's going to you know, it's a big price to pay. But you know what? It's over there. It's not here. So with that kind of mentality, you know, that kind of mentality, you have senators that are saying that, and they're the ones we're relying on to try to give us some help. They're saying, well, it's over there. It's not really here. And we're the tip of the spear, you know, so that's really scary. So if someone can say that in regards to bombing the hell out of a country, and saying it's happening over there, it's not necessarily on our shores. What do you mean by there? We're here.
Right.
You know, so that is upsetting. That is really, I mean, to hear something like that, that's a war thing.
Right.
This is an economic thing. That's even worse.
Yeah, I believe that many of our leaders, and of course there is that transition, that there is a need for a very strong educational plight to help them understand, if we in fact are the tip of the spear, that the United States doesn't end at Hawaii. The United States
or doesn't start there.
Yeah, or doesn't start there, yes, to the west. That Guam is, in fact, and you know, I believe that we do have some leaders who maybe had stepped on to the island, recognized, maybe had military experience, and so they understand the history of Guam. But it's unfortunate, out of sight, out of mind. We're way out here. We're not Puerto Rico or Virgin Islands. We're right next to the coast, on the east side, that is. We're very isolated out here, and so strong advocacy, as Greg had mentioned, in the various federal agencies like the Department of Interior, and also maybe strong lobbying support to help them understand what Guam really is and what we aren't. I believe that a lot of attention is going to be set when they realize that the price tag is going to be expensive, and that's going to catch their attention.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I believe, you know, there's merit in buying American and all that, but where do we mitigate? Where do we find the middle ground? We need the right people to be able to listen to our governor, to listen to our congresswomen. We need senators and congressmen in Washington to pay attention, to educate themselves. I mean, it would be embarrassing if we were to go to another state and have no clue about Rhode Island.
Well, here's the thing that I say on radio. I said, look, the governor had come out. He very strongly. He said, I'm going to hold back my support in moving forward, not because I don't support a military buildup, but because you're reneging and you're finding every way, shape, or form to hinder our growth. And so with that, I know he's been criticized. People have come out right away and criticized. Even the same folks that are suing the federal government are criticizing him. Oh, no, that's not what we mean. No, that's not what the government means as well. Listen to the governor. I'm surprised these very smart people are very dumb as well. You know, and I'm talking to the chamber. I'm talking to you, you know, Contractors Association. That's not what the governor is saying. The governor is saying they're reneging on their contract. When people renege with your contract, what do? You take them to Josh Wapner, don't you? Your thoughts?
I believe that the governor has taken a strong stance because of his utmost concern in our ability to carry out what they expect from us. If they expect us to build the infrastructure, if they expect us, I mean, we have contracts within our own government agencies that can't necessarily move forward.
Sure.
But we need that in order to support the military buildup inside the gate. If in fact this is the big push, you know, under the contract, then where are they? Why are they why are they reneging?
That's
and so
right.
the governor has, you know, put his foot down, and I believe it's catching their attention now.
Yeah.
And it's what's needed.
Yeah.
Do we believe that there's a need for a military buildup? I mean, I think any educated person would know that. Yes, I mean, considering the history of where we're at, the activities in Southeast Asia, but our leaders in Washington need to pay attention to the unique conditions. And I would challenge all of them to come out here to Guam and sit down here and see exactly what we're facing.
Yeah, no, if North Korea's got our Guam sticker on it already, you know, yeah, I definitely want a gun as well to face it at them and have their North Korean sticker on my gun as well.